Hey guys, how's it going? Well, it is time for pro commentary today. But today I'm going to make it a little different and I'm going to actually do it on the big board. And on top of that, I have a special guest with me today. So I hope you guys can enjoy this different style of the pro commentary, and let me know what kind of style you guys like. Also, don't go away after the video because I'm going to do a short interview with my special guest. So, enjoy the video. Good day everyone, my name is Ryan and welcome to a new video in the Pro Game Review series. Today we have a special guest with us. You might have noticed, Filippo Jan. Welcome, Filippo.
Hi everyone.
So Filippo has just became quite famous in the US actually, after tying first place in the 2019 US Open Masters.
Yeah, it's very fortunate, and I'm very glad that Ryan was also at the Congress. He didn't play, but he watched me, which gave me courage.
Oh really? Oh, I'm glad. So I had a lot of fun in the Congress. I might have given you a lot of card games, but not that much Go. But
yeah, we also practiced a lot.
Yeah. It was a fun time. Yeah. So if you want to play cards, you should go to Congress. Anyway, so today we were talking about the 2019 44th Meijin tournament. So if you didn't know, this year the Meijin Challenger is a very young rising star in Japan, Shibano Toramaru. He is professional 7-dan, and he is challenging the defender of the Meijin, Cho U, who snagged this title from the infamous Yuta. So this is a very interesting matchup, right? And quite an interesting series of events, right?
Yeah, it's not only interesting but also important and attracts a lot of attention because it might be, a new rising star of Japan. Because 10 years ago when Yuta was at 19, he was also the challenger of Meijin. And interestingly, at that time, Cho U was also
defender was Cho U.
So at that time, Yuta lost 3 against 4, but next year he won. So it became a new era of Japanese Go.
So it's definitely a close one. But
yeah.
Yama was only able to take the title the following year. But this year it's Shibano is also 19, who is also younger than Yama at the time. So if Shibano won, he would be the youngest Meijin in the history of Go.
Yeah, so many of us believe that this might be a new hope of Japanese Go, and let's see the game.
Yeah, so it's interesting, a little bit of deja vu. Yeah. And let's see this. Oh, so before we get into it, so the current score at this game, so this is the fifth game in the series. And before this, Shibano is actually leading 3-1. So he's very close to taking the title. He's got 3 games left and he only has to win 1 of them.
Very important game, so let's start.
So who's playing black again?
Cho U.
Cho U is playing black. Yeah. So Shibano is white. We have small eye, star point versus double star point. And I guess this is a little
defensive.
Yeah, it's a little defensive.
Yeah, we've seen this quite often, and not very often in terms of black playing this. We've seen a lot of white playing this.
Yeah.
Because normally it's like pressurized by the 7.5 Komi, black wants to play more aggressive.
So black wants to play faster usually.
Yeah, but since Japan has only 6.5 Komi, it might be acceptable.
that might change the play style a little bit. Yeah. So what's the difference between the 3rd and 4th line defense?
I guess
the 2-space jump versus the large knight.
I guess this might be a little bit more defensive, and which means that later on, the most severe one is this attach, or this prayer, or something like this, which means that it's harder for you to develop or attack. Maybe attack. Attack is more important.
Yeah, so I think the main difference is that when you have a fourth line move, I mean, this goes for most moves in the opening. When you have a fourth line move, when you play the next move, it's better for you, it's more efficient. But when your opponent gets the next move, it's usually more severe.
Yeah.
But when you have a third line move, it's more complete. So you don't need a next move to make it better. But if you get the next move, it's actually not as good. So I think that's something really important to remember. If you have this move and you defend it, then the shape is more ideal than as opposed to this. But when you have the high move, so this pincer would be much more annoying, right? So it's much weaker. So that's something to remember, and something that will come up again. Yeah, so in this game, Cho U is playing slightly defensively.
And then...
Yep, so if you don't know where to play, you can always evade. So,
yeah.
Which side should I block?
So, I mean, it really depends. I mean, there's no right and wrong answer, but it really depends on whether you know the most complicated variation of this 3-3, which is we call it Miwitin Joseki.
Yes, because he was the first one to play this. So it's the knight's move, right? And then
the reason why black plays this is because that black doesn't want white to just take the side easily. Since this is a star, white may even jump out. So if this happens, which means that white loses the right side, which originally is the main direction of development of black.
Especially when black encloses this corner, it's good for black to develop on both sides. But if this side is limited, then the potential is going to be a lot less. So it's very critical to play this move if black blocks on this side. And then if white attaches, then all things break loose, right?
Yeah, it's very complicated, and if you are interested, we can do another series.
Yeah, so if you're interested, we can go over this flying knife or something, right?
Yeah, it will take us hours to
Yes. And I think it's not even so clear, right?
Yeah.
We see new variations every day still. So if you want to lose your mind, play this. Anyway, so in the game, black blocked on the other side,
which is the easiest variation.
So this is actually really the simplest way you can deal with a 3-3 invasion. Just extend and then Tenyuki.
Yeah. Later on, there might be some follow-up. For example, this one, and this one. But black doesn't necessarily want to use up these follow-ups right now. And the next move.
So this side is very important. I think this is a relatively obvious next move, right? So again, it's with that. When you have this corner, you want to develop.
Yeah, so traditionally we know that the direction of development is facing.
Yeah. So white pincers, 3 space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a traditional pincer, but nowadays it's very common.
Yeah, so I was confused about this. And so, so usually when I have a question about the opening, I always ask Filippo because Filippo is a bit of an expert in openings.
Yeah, so usually I answer more in the opening and he knows more in the middle, in the fighting part, because I cannot read.
So, tell us about this a little bit. Why this, right? Traditionally, we have usually like pincers here, right?
Yeah.
So if I defend, I probably don't want to give black this extension.
But black will not black will.
Oh, okay. Do something like this. Okay. So I don't want black to have potential on this side. So I want to invade early.
I think this is a bit too passive.
It's a bit too passive.
Playing style. So that's why white wants to invade, but traditionally when white goes there, if you go to the 3-3, which is very, very fine, then it becomes a...
So this is probably one of the first Josekis that we learned, right? The start point in 3-3 invasion Josekis, and then the jump.
Then it becomes a very peaceful, territorial kind of game, which is at least not very satisfactory for black, because black has a komi. The pressure of komi pushes black, which means that black wants to develop some moyo, or at least use the efficiency of the.
Yeah. So this is relatively peaceful. If we just finish all the corners, no moyo or no efficient moves, then if we get the same amount of territory, obviously, white will have an easy win, and black will have a hard time.
Yeah. So in order not to go to this kind of style playing, white will have something else. For example, this one or this
Some
one.
kind of counter pincer, yeah.
Then it becomes a fight because white is not very satisfied about this one. And this time the ladder doesn't work.
Yeah,
And
so black can just wedge.
Yeah, black can wedge. So if white fights out, then
Yeah, so the fighting is probably good for black, I think,
yeah,
since black has that to develop, right? If we have two weak groups coming out, then black can easily develop and have some stones
Yeah.
on this side, which would expand the moyo that's already starting to develop there. So I guess this three space is trying to make black a bit less, like to reduce the moyo.
yeah. So first of all, I mean the next move down there is very big. I mean, nonetheless, black doesn't want white to get this, so black perhaps will play somewhere here. So since black should play here nonetheless, why not just push some spaces and leave more space there to become less polarized?
Yeah.
That's white's thought.
So after this, white then comes back to pincer again.
Yeah. And since white goes the fourth line, black also responds in the fourth line. So not leaving
This,
some
yeah.
good points.
Yeah, because right now moyo is really important, right? Not just pure points. So this side is already relatively cramped. So it's not going to leave an obvious cap. And this is a very good move to reduce further development later. So white will not necessarily play this now, but it's much less center-oriented when you play a very territorial move here.
And then white goes back.
So I'm also wondering, so black invades here. This seems like an awkward shape, right?
But actually
So
it isn't.
Which is very counterintuitive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Traditionally we all learned that this might be too close.
yeah, right?
White. But now
So-
AI tells us that this is actually not a bad shape because normally this is the end of Joseki, but there's a follow-up this one. So in order to use this, black plays here, which means that it's forcing white to play one more extra move here because otherwise white will extend
And then Hane.
Hane.
Yeah. And now this is terrible for white.
Yeah, it's unbearable because
Gotta connect
there's
still.
this connection and you cannot extend out.
Yeah. So this is definitely not good
So
for
this,
white.
if this is a center for black, which means that I can get a side with zero move, which is not very good. So this is actually a very valuable place to place, but where should white play is the question. Because if you play too far away, there's obviously some weaknesses. And if you play lower spaces, then there is some forcing moves up there.
And you're still getting at this. If
Yeah.
white responds, you can still play here. So it presses white down, right? It's going to get rid of all the potential. So it's very kind of awkward.
So the most comfortable shape for white is probably this one or this one. Considering black has an extra stone at the right side, perhaps this is the better shape for white. Because if you extend too much, there might be some RG down there.
So actually, this is good shape, despite that it looks kind of cramped together.
Yeah, but it's very solid. And then black is actually weak.
Yeah, so that's a really important point. When your own shapes are solid, your opponent's weaknesses are going to be exploitable. But if you're weak, then your opponent will get automatically stronger. So this is actually protecting the shape here. So having that double knights move here. So that's very interesting.
So remember, black has 3 stones down there. White has only 1 stone, and definitely black doesn't want white to be so comfortable down there.
Right.
That's probably why black didn't go the 3-3.
So this would make white a lot stronger. So
Yeah.
black just left this and so obviously it wouldn't be very ideal for black to jump out because white already has 2 stones.
Yes.
So white can just protect this side. And black is just going to be the one getting attacked here. So black tenukis now. And if you don't know where to play,
Yeah.
So in this case, which side should you block?
It all depends on what you should play next. I think it's still both playable, but if you play this side, if you hand it, you go this side, you definitely want to go with the honey and take the territory.
And take the corner. But black is getting the flower here and facing this side.
As long as black doesn't have a wall here, it's acceptable.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you definitely shouldn't develop something.
Yeah, so you definitely shouldn't be playing this one.
Yeah.
Because this is a second line move, so this side is already small.
If you are forced to develop something there, which means that black will get some stones out there, which will make the right side very big.
Yeah, and also, since it's on the second line, it's going to be a lot harder to actually get something in the center.
But for even better thoughts, since there is not much influence up there, you can just give it up. And then...
So naturally, you should block on this side because this is more open to development, but this is already limited by that second line move there. And then black continues, and you extend. So we have like a symmetric shape now.
You should play at the center.
No, that would be a bad move, wouldn't it? So actually, it's kind of asymmetric, right? Because we have the opposite going on. So actually, it's funny you say that because we want to definitely stress that now this is definitely going to be the smallest side of all. Since both players now have the second line stone, nobody really wants to. No one can really get much on that side. So I guess what really leaves it open is, I guess, this one last corner and then the 2 sides.
And then white decides to hit the corner first.
Get the corner first. This is a very natural follow-up move here.
Yeah. Actually, there are some other follow-ups, but it depends on if you know it.
Well, you definitely don't want to make some attachments here, right? Because that still leaves the corner open. And this side has already got 2 stones, so you don't want to do that. So when you defend the corner, if black still escapes, then it's going to be a weak move by himself.
Yeah, this is the most aggressive one. If black goes up, then white takes the side, and then it becomes a fight. So white wants the corner and still wants a fight.
Yeah, so this is bad for black, obviously. So this is just a weak group. White is getting territory on the side. So black is not going to escape anyway.
But the problem is that black is going to pincer.
But what other follow-up moves are there?
The follow-up is that since black has a pincer, the pincer is very valuable. White doesn't want the pincer. So this one or this one.
Oh, okay.
Traditionally, it's this one. But when AI releases, there's a very good point of this one.
Okay.
Should have hit.
Interesting. Okay.
So if white wants to protect this kind of place, it's too small and then the corner is still weak. But if you go down there, it's not very acceptable in AI's terms of view.
Like just going here?
Yeah. So nowadays, when you go the shoulder head, it's almost never a good response if you go down. Traditionally, it's like...
Yeah, because black has a natural black can just jump either now or later. And it also gives a follow-up move.
Yeah.
So normally you want to extend up.
Yeah. But even
but
if
now
you extend up, black can
still jump.
If you disconnect, then black takes the corner. So naturally, you should play something like this.
And ignore this.
Yeah, but considering it will develop a fight somewhere here, this stone might help during the fight.
Okay, too advanced.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, but I think for these moves, white is a little unsatisfied, right?
Yeah.
Because black tenukid somewhere, and you're adding a move, but you still haven't taken the corner.
Yeah.
So I think it would be more natural to think this way. I think just out of
Yeah.
it's kind of like counter.
At least this
thinking,
move is
right?
more acceptable for human.
Right. It kind of makes sense here, right? They're tanuking, so I'm going to grab this. If he escapes, then I'm going to get him more. So he's not going to escape. Then I can at least secure whatever's left here.
But definitely black won't jump out.
Yeah. So this counter pincer, I guess, is looking at a follow-up move somewhere here. So if I pincer, you would have to play that.
Or I can do some preparation before I play there. And it will also become very complicated because white is forced to push out.
So you can't let these stones connect.
Yeah.
So I have to cut that because it's in my area of influence. And if black connects, then it's all going to live, and I'm going to have nothing. So I definitely have to cut this. But if I cut this, it seems like black has decent shape.
Yes.
After this tiger's mouth, if I save this, then this is still a weak group.
Yeah, but if you capture this, I mean, it's still not very clean.
Yeah, so if I cap this, black can maybe just even capture this, or perhaps playing an outside move to attack this. And now, so if I have to protect one more, then also this moyo is really starting to look very big. So in terms of the globally, this wouldn't be very ideal for white. Yeah. So if white's not going to cut, then this seems pretty severe. Yeah. If white doesn't have a good move to follow up. Yeah. So white responds here, captures the stone. And then black extends. So this is actually kind of interesting. So a lot of people ask me, if they is there a difference? Like, if I don't know where to extend, where should I play? What are the things should we consider? How about this move?
I also don't know, but my thing is that try to make your opponent most uncomfortable.
Right. That's a really important thinking. You don't want your opponent to be comfortable. So I guess you don't really want to play a high. Well, this one was going to have an invasion, so it's probably not a good move.
Yeah.
But I guess what we're considering is something like this or here.
Yeah, but it's like if you play this one, I won't think I will just play this one.
Right. So that's actually relatively comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Since these two stones are still looking at a base, this is going to limit that. And also, it's natural for white to develop some base first.
Similarly, if you play down there, I will still play this one because that's still decent space there. But if you play this one, I will be a bit ambivalent between invading and going here.
Right. So if white does this, it's going to be too cramped. It's not very comfortable. Black can just either jump or just get the territory, right? So it's white's not going to do that.
Yeah.
What if white invades though?
But I mean,
so we'll attach.
Yeah, there is still.
So this group is not totally thickness yet.
Yeah.
So let's say white. I don't know if white can wedge. What if let's just say white extends and pulls back and pulls back. So good territory grab. But in terms of the outside, it's not very good, right? Since this group has become really strong now, this weak group is going to be just out there, right?
Yeah.
And considering black still has kind of a lot of potential, this wouldn't be very ideal for white. So this is a little too... I guess you're not really thinking about the whole board, so it's not really consistent with the whole board thinking. Even though it's good locally to get some cash, you don't really want to let out this weak group and give black the first move on the right side.
Exactly, yeah.
So I guess in terms of the balancing these kind of moves, I guess this is kind of in the middle point, right? If they can't really invade, they don't really want to do this, so that makes this a good move. But it's kind of like just, you kind of just have to guess your opponent, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of just thinking and then trying to outthink your opponent really in the end. But maybe you guys can also think this way in your own games when you're thinking about where to extend. And that can also help you. Just think about what your opponent wants or what your opponent can do.
So what if you are uncomfortable with Tanuki?
Yeah, so white doesn't really want to play here. So white takes the last kind of I guess this is pretty much the last opening move, right? Since all the sides and corners are pretty much settled, right? We see 4 corners all finished, and all the sides have been taken. So now I guess it's to see whether black can do something here, and black can attack this side or something similar.
Yeah, so basically you see the same shape here and there, and then the points of white is definitely more solid than black.
Yeah.
So obviously black needs to attack either this one or this one.
So I'm curious, what side would you take right now? Would you take black or white?
I will take white, I think. Because, this is very safe. Yeah. And then dealing with this one is not
too difficult.
Difficult. And then if
and
I
here
take black, there's too much uncertainty. I need to protect this weakness.
Yeah, there's really a lot more to think about for black.
Yeah. So maybe white is more easy to handle at least.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
So black does do the attack. So black comes back and extends here. So it's kind of uncomfortable too for black though to follow, right? This kind of seems like it's like right next to the wall.
It's uncomfortable for both sides now.
Yeah.
And it is.
Yeah. So white has to somehow play some light moves to secure this group, right? So we can see Shibano here make some good shapes. So he Hane's first. Now we're transitioning pretty much into our mid game already, since the opening is pretty much done, and now we're looking at some clash of stones.
So I think the thought of white is, first of all, you don't want black to get this shape and be forced to connect, and because it's too heavy.
Right.
So directly you can just extend down, but it's too slow. So indirectly you want to have some stone here. So when you connect, you can get a nice shape.
Right. So after this, if I have something like this, then if it's something like after he exchanges this, then I have some eye shape here.
Yeah. But if you place a stone directly here, it will be honey.
And that would be uncomfortable. Since if I extend, it's a bamboo shape, but it's going to be too slow.
Yeah.
And then it's going to help black on this side. Black will just push up, right?
That's why white plays this first.
So it's a forcing. So after this, white is trying to force black to respond. Yeah. So if black responds, then the next move would be much better, right? So if we follow that thinking through, and if black wedges, then I will just Atari, and you have to connect. So it's still my turn. Now I can just easily, like if I play here or even Tanuki or do something else, it's hard for black to attack this group already. If you capture something, I'll just give that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cho U think he's feeling that pressure, right? This is his game. He's got to win. So to respond, he extends up.
Yeah.
So you got to counterattack. Can't be too soft.
Yeah, but if you counterattack, you leave a weakness of this one. Now it's probably not working because
whenever you have the 2 stones, the Hane on top is usually a very powerful move. At least that's what I learned when I was like learning shapes, right? When you have 2 stones and you get Hane'd, it's like one of those textbook bad shapes, right?
So what to do with
so we gotta do some preparation.
Yeah. So I want at least some sentence.
So maybe something to do with the corner.
Yeah. So what plays this?
So you exchange this first, and if black extends, then white would have some sente moves.
Yeah.
Because after that exchange, we can see this connection is sente. If black tanukis, then we should all learn this shape because it's going to happen to you at some point. So this Hane is a very classic broken shape. There's no way for black to connect to either side. So if black cuts, then white will just simply capture that. And none of these work either. There's always ways for white to prevent the connection. Okay. So definitely a shape to remember because it happened to me and it really sucked. So these are all sente moves, which means it's going to give white a lot more possibility, right, on this side. So So how about, does black have to play here?
Not necessarily black. We all know that we can counterattack. So in this way, the counterattack is just capture. So, of course, if white continues play here, black just...
So white will have to follow up on that side.
Yeah. But white can go down there and then maybe...
Is the Atari necessary?
It's not necessarily...
Oh, black... I don't think he'll play here, right? I think this is slightly slow. But anyway, I guess this is a different game.
Yeah.
Not sure who would be better. Maybe black will come back to that side or something like that.
This one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this seems a little aggressive.
Yeah. It might be another game.
Yeah, it's a different game.
Or even.
Yeah. So Cho U he's pretty confident, right? He's like, I'm not afraid of the fight. And then all of a sudden, you see, like, from all these little things, no one wants to retreat. And we usually say, if you can't talk over it, you got to fight over it, right? So here we are. White extends down, and a fight is inevitable. There's no good way for either players to back down, and then the fight will just break out.
White has lots of sente here.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, since these are all sente moves, it's hard for black to fight.
Yeah.
So a good strategy is just to get rid of it. So this is actually an interesting way of thinking. So it's just taking the cash, right? I'll let you have the first move, and it's kind of throwing the ball towards white. If white can do something well, then I already got this. But if he can't, then I got this as well, right? So he's got something for sure in his pocket already. But it's Shibano, so he's gonna have something.
Yeah.
So after this hane, black obviously can't hane back, so he's got a cut. And then this hane is really important to guarantee the liberties for these two stones. And then black jumps here. So black doesn't want to block.
It's actually slightly better if you block. It's actually slightly better if black blocked.
It's actually better?
Because the shape was slightly better.
And then white will get back this side.
Yes.
And then something like this. Okay. But I feel white actually gained more.
Maybe Cho U was not very satisfied about this result.
And then this is really the last move.
Yeah, it's locally acceptable for black, but it's not. It's that black didn't get the strategical advantage in the first fight.
Yes, that's a really good point, I think, is black is trying to, originally, the point of this second two space extension was to attack white, or put some pressure. And also, another important thing is to get sente, right? Because this is still relatively empty.
Yeah.
And we can see black, after capture this, white actually has more territory benefit than black, while black only really gained some influence. So strategically, it's not really what he was going for. Yeah, so he's wanting more, and black just jumped.
Right, and
now we're definitely going to get some hard fight. So white Tari's here, and then extends. So Shibano is... So if white comes back here, then we're gonna. So then this shape is a bit better, I think.
Yeah, because nonetheless you will protect, and then it's.
So if we do this shape again, then this is much better, right? Because black has much more territory compared to this, which has the clamp. So you can see that a lot of the subtle things are really important in decision making. So white sees that, extends out, and then connects. And then turns, So we can see here, black can actually connect this back. Right? This clamp connects up to the corner group, but of course, white will get some good shape. And good shape at this point is really crucial, because when you're fighting, right, your opponent has good shape means you're going to have bad shape, and your groups are going to be weak.
The worst thing is that before making this nice shape, white can make your shape
right.
worse.
And this is a very important forcing move.
Yeah. So after this, we can see that even when black play one extra stone here, the shape is still ugly.
It's still, yeah, it's still bad.
It's not alive yet.
It's got the sente move here even. Yeah. So black is actually under some pretty big pressure, right? So he turns and trying to make white's shape bad. Obviously, white's not going to respond. White's going to take this, and then the Atari move.
So next thing is that it all becomes whether black can get this connection.
So it seems really complicated, but in the end, it's really simple. So black needs to deal with all these groups, and black not only has to do that, but black actually has to get a little more, because if black has this to deal with, and there's no other benefit from before. So it's actually really useful for us when we're thinking in our games to have something to compare with, because if you're just purely thinking about some shapes, then it's really hard to get somewhere with your reading. But if you have some normal shape to compare with, then it's much easier to know first what you want from a fight, and also what you shouldn't let your opponent get in a fight. So always have some ballpark figures in your mind, and always try to estimate what you want and what are the kind of the normal moves. So in this case, black really can't let white simply live, because this group is already alive, and here it's probably even, right? Black has to escape or make this a bit better. White's going to just jump out, and black didn't really gain much. So this is no-go for black.
Yeah, but in this case, black cannot connect directly.
Because white can cut.
If I push.
Yeah. And because these three stones are actually weak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now black has two weaknesses and he can't get both, even though this is really what black wants. So I guess, so if you see both of these, then you can kind of see some middle figure, right?
Yeah, so black wishes that he has some stones in the center. So he plays.
So he attacks this group first. And then white obviously can't let these vital stones die. They're connecting weak groups, so they're very important right now. Then black attaches. Then white has to ensure the connection with tiger's knot. And then Hane. And then this is a forcing move. So I always stress this shape. It's very important and actually relatively common shape. Is if let's say white tanuki's here. When your opponent has a shape that's standing up and you have a kosumi next to it, usually it's going to be bad shape for you. So this is actually relatively common. We can know this shape is also relatively weak and needs a one-space extension. So that's why this move is really important, is white needs to play here so black doesn't get that standing up shape. So remember that shape because it will definitely come up as well. And then black Kane's on the outside.
And then white connects again. So actually Shibano has two chances to Tanuki. So the first chance was here. He can just disconnect here.
Yeah, but I guess he doesn't want black to get this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very bad agi.
It's bad agi, but if the agi doesn't work, then white is clearly ahead. And the second chance is here. White can actually.
Yeah, I like this one much better because this is a very immediate weakness in black's shape. Black cannot cut because the Liberty Race, these 5 stones don't have enough compared to the outside. So black will get captured first here. So black has to give in, but then white can also keep pushing. And this is pretty much immediate responses. They have to happen. But then we can see that white doesn't even have to respond here. And white doesn't even lose any stones. So there's nothing here, right? If black Atari is white can just extend. It's not even capturing anything. So in this case, white just got a sente for no reason. And then white can just come back, protect everything, right? So white is very clearly ahead at this point.
And it's not very difficult to read. And
yeah, it's pretty much direct, right? But of course, we're just looking at the game. We're reviewing the game, and we can see.
Yeah, the
the
reading is not very complicated, but the judgment is not so simple because if white plays this variation, white gives up some other choices like...
There's actually a more severe
Yeah.
variation here. And if black extends, then white can descend.
Yeah.
In this way, black is
Almost
dead.
dead.
Yeah.
So Shibano didn't choose this.
So in the game, Shibano wanted to
Yeah, maybe he hopes
threaten
that
the attachment
black
instead.
goes back there and he disconnects. So comparing with that, white is even more complete in terms of shape.
Mm-hmm.
But
And this might even have problems
Yeah.
later as well. So he might be a little greedy, actually.
yeah,
So he probably saw this, but thinks
he
he
might
can
be-
get even more.
yeah.
But he gave up the simple variation that he can be clearly ahead. And now, since he played this move, we can see later, Cho U seizes this chance, makes this connection. So white definitely has to cut and extend. So now these are all forcing moves. And white now, if white extends now, it doesn't work because black can just connect back. And since this is not alive, remember this net doesn't work anymore because black has all these stones now on the outside. So white has got a hane. And then I think black cut. So I think we can just go through this fight and just tell the viewers what's going on here after a while. So white has to keep going because white has to save the stones, and black hane, right? And then white taris. So black is playing all these forcing moves, and oops. So after that, white connects, and then black comes back to connect the 3 stones because these are still vital stones. But after all these exchanges, now when white extends, black can use all these stones now to save these vital stones on the inside. Since this is relatively hard reading, we're just going to skip through this part and tell the audience what's going on. So now black pushes through. So white can't push now because if white pushes, when black cuts, there are still 2 weaknesses. So white just turns, and then when black cuts, white captures the 4 stones on the outside. So now we can see after everything that happened, by connecting, black captured everything on the inside, but the outside is very brutal as well because white captured these 4 and has a huge influence on the top. So now black still has to protect these because these stones actually have a lot of liberties. They have 5 liberties, and these groups still have things to worry about. And then finally, Shibano comes back to get his attachment. He's probably looking at this forever. And then extends back, and then black is forced to connect again due to the liberties here.
So that's the end result of the first fight.
So this is a huge fight that pretty much just ended. Okay, now we can probably kind of make some judgment now, right?
Yeah.
So how many points did black capture? So this was already black's, so we just have to count the inside here. So there's 4 stones here, plus about these 2, plus 1, 2, maybe 3 points. So there's 11 here. Black has to fill in all of these right now. So just the stones, right? 11, this is a point, 12. And then how many stones? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So plus the 18. So actually 30 points. So black gained exactly 30 points from this fight. So now let's ask, what did white gain? Well, first of all, this part, right?
Yeah.
So can we say about 10 points? 11? Let's take a middle number. So 11 points here. So 4 stones. That's close to 20.
And the sente.
And sente. So clearly, black didn't do very well in this fight, right? I always tell my students that every move you play should be worth about 20 points. Especially when you have a 2-space extension, you can kind of ballpark estimate to about 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's 20 points, black gained 10 points here, plus white has influence. So we can see here that black really is definitely behind now if he wasn't earlier, right? So what went wrong? Did you try to fight too hard here?
At least I would try to be more greedy at the last move.
Yeah, so before, remember when black protected, white got the 11 points plus, almost 15, probably more than 15 points in Sente. So this is a huge move, but I guess he might be afraid of the liberty reduction. So if white encloses this group, I think I should wedge first.
Yeah.
And then I will...
The thing is that it's not very easy for you to...
So I have to get Sente also by
Sente.
enclosing this group. Yeah. I think that would be much more pushing, at least. Since this is a really, really big reverse Sente move even. It's reverse Sente, so it's actually worth more than its face value, right? So I guess, yeah, that would be definitely worth it. It's hard for white to actually do something. Because if white gets gote, that's definitely not acceptable. So black can just extend. And white has 5 liberties, so white can't play locally anymore. Yeah, maybe even jump.
I think the reason black didn't choose this variation is because black thought white may just reserve the variation and attack this first.
So white won't play any of these. So actually maybe my peak was a little soft. Maybe I can cut or get a little more.
If you cut, I'll just jump out.
And then I can get a little more here. And then first I can attack this, I guess. Yeah. But he needs to play here because he's going to be behind. And I think our positional judgment is relatively accurate, right? Because all he gained was 30 points here. So I think black needs this move now. And this is actually a very important turning point here. So black fixed, and then we have this result. And now it's white's turn to attack the upper right.
Yeah, but advantage is advantage. How to make the advantage into a winning is another.
Yes, it's definitely not easy, is it?
Yeah.
So let's see how Shibano deals with this. So he obviously pincers, so it's kind of like going to be the same thing. But now white has this huge wall, so black has to make it alive locally. I think black attached and extended. And then white. Here. And then here. Oh, I think black exchanged that at some point.
Oh, black exchanged this.
Did black do that first? Yeah. Oh, black played here and then white did this. Right. And then connected. And then white came back to extend.
White should actually play this one.
Yeah, I would play there for sure. Yeah. We can see kind of, the type of moves really give away their mentality, right? If white didn't think he was really ahead, he would definitely play here. Right? He's probably feeling kind of safe now. He's probably, I can just defend what I have, and black's not going to win enough. And that's true. But it's really important when you're ahead to also keep your
Cho U really pushes
up. So he's going to leave that and extend. So I think Shibano also played another very, very defensive move. And now
this one first.
And then black can still make some eyes
so we
inside.
See that black got settled this one and then got 2 extra moves down there.
Yes. So this is definitely good for black because white started with the first move and black gains points. But white just went out with what he already had. So it might be actually a lot closer than before at this point. So as we mentioned, there's a lot of weaknesses here. So now white's going to come here and reduce black. So black extended. And then Atari. So these are pretty classical reduction moves, I think. So for example, white definitely doesn't want to extend here because black will just turn. And even though it's alive, it's too small. And that's actually very interesting because a lot of players would turn first. But after the turn,
it doesn't work.
the corner is actually dead. Now, this is actually a very famous shape. It's called the small pig's mouth. Right? And there's a very classical Jasuji for this. So after the peep, black can descend. And normally white might be able to live like this. And now we can see why this exchange was bad. Because normally white would be able to connect. But since we have this exchange, white cannot play here. Right? This is a squashing push. Black can't connect, so white has two eyes here. But since exchanging this, it doesn't work anymore. It's a self-Atari. So really be careful not to exchange that and make it a small pig's mouth. So everyone should remember this and be careful with this. But
the thing is that it's too painful to leave like this.
Right. My main point was that it's really too painful. It's too small. And black can just get more in the center or take the endgame first.
I like to exchange this first.
You want to play this right away?
Yeah. To make your opponent more painful.
Yeah, so it's 4 points in there, and it's gote. So it's too small. So white extends out. So it's actually not very easy for black to Atari to capture this because white can still extend. And if black continues, white can hane and sente. And black has to come back here. So it's definitely bad for black. So yeah, white can just live this very easily. So it's white's turn, so I don't even know what to play, right? So it's really important not to be greedy. If black Ataris and white connects, then black can extend. And now again, white is faced with living with very small in the corner. And black gets sente and can take the endgame first. This is alive, but white can actually gain more than that. So white, instead of connecting, white played a nice move. Very interesting. So for this move, black definitely has to...
Yeah, black definitely wants to go down, but black did some preparation.
So if black captures, white will just pull this back.
Yeah. And
it's definitely enough benefit for white. So after making some judgments...
I think locally black is not bad, but because white is far ahead.
Yeah, white is still ahead, even being relatively reserved on this side. So, did he jump first, or did he did that after block? I think he blocked
first.
And then white connected, then black jumped here. So let's talk about that first. Why this exchange? So if black plays here now, white will block. And now black cannot Atari below because this cut is sente. Black has to protect this side. And then white can extend out. So black is done here. So black actually has to, if black has to Atari on top, then white can live a lot more comfortably than before. So white connects here, black has to protect that cut somewhere. And then white can just connect back and live much more comfortably. So that's the slight difference there. So after that, black tenuki'd, and as you said, did a probe. So white definitely has to prevent this stone from connecting, and then black extended. So this is really a test.
Yeah.
Shibano's last test, right? So he's almost got it. He's on the verge of claiming the Meijin. I wonder what he felt in his mind right at this point. But as Ghost Spirit says, you should never back down, no matter how far your lead is, right? However, this is a little too much, I think, right? As you said, it actually gave black
I think that's maybe an aftermath of playing conservatively here.
Might be. So he thinks he can't really back down too much.
He definitely knows that the game is closer than he expected before. So he wants every point.
So this is actually just 2-point difference.
Yeah.
But blocking here makes the cut this in cente, right? And after that, there's a liberty race here, so white has to at least worry about that. So white protects here.
So
So he's trying to attack both at the same time, right? And this is pretty much the last kind of the last stretch, right? So black needs to gain something here because he doesn't have enough territory.
yeah.
And now it looks like there's two weaknesses. There's a liberty raise here that black can take advantage of. If black can make white reduce all of this, then it would be worth it. However, it loses quite a little bit of points with this move, right? Because white can cut and capture this 2 stones. Yeah. And then when black comes back here, and I think exchange is as well, it's going to be not enough still, right?
Yeah.
Because
even though this is a cente, white black plays a tiger mouse, white can extend out.
White can extend out now. And if he hane, white can extend here. So even though this is reduced by a lot, black has lost quite a bit on this side as well. So I think this is pretty much the most interesting parts about this game. However, we do want to skip the very last part because we actually saw some more interesting things. So at this point, it's very clear that Cho U is behind. White has a definite lead. After reducing the lower right corner, white is able to keep the lead he developed earlier. So we'll be back with the last and final interesting part about this game.
Which is a ko.
Welcome back. We have continued playing out some of the endgame variations. Now we're up to a very interesting point in this game. So after a few exchanges, it seems like white still kept the lead, but actually it's not as big as it seems. On the other hand, black has developed some influence here. So this is really the last part of the game where black is fighting for everything he can get, and white is just reducing him as much as he can.
So in the end game, it's very dangerous to play very softly because you will. It means a lot of points, and sometimes a few points may mean win and lose.
But Shibano here is very clear in his judgments, right? So after the attachment that he just played, he played the double hane,
which leads to a very complicated ko.
So after black Ataris, black pushed here first. I don't really know what that means, but maybe it was a time move. And then black connected, so white has to pull that back. Black blocks. And white exchanges 2 moves. Atari and capture. And then white starts the ko. So black Atari is here, and white connects, and then black Atari is here. So the ko starts like this. White Atari is here, and we're fighting this ko. So actually it may seem that white has a lot of ko threats, but this ko is heavier for white than it is for black. So in the end, let's see how the ko plays out. So we have Atari there, and then black connects for another ko threat. Oops, sorry. White extends, black captures. Then white poked here. Then he captures back. And throw in. Captures, capture back, then wedged here. Captures back. Yep, connecting. So this is actually a very important point because the descend actually takes away a co-threat for black.
Yeah. So comparing with playing here,
black has 3 co-threats.
1, 2, and 3.
And then white captures. So 3 co-threats in total. But by descending, black actually only has 2 co-threats in here. So that's a very important move. So after that, white throw in, captures, and then throw in here, capture, and then pushed, captured, and then pushed here, capture, and then black connected. So white has a bunch of dead stones here, so that's going to give a lot of co-threats. And then capture, and then black put through in here, capture, and then white Atari's here, and black capture. It's very important to see here at the bottom that this Atari is not a co-threat, because after black captures, when white comes back in here, black only has 3 liberties, while white has 4 on the outside. So there's actually no more co-threats in this area. So now when white captures black Hanade, forcing white to start the ko immediately. And then when black captured here, white Ataris. So when black captures now, when white finally takes back the ko, black is 1 co-threat short. So black can take, that would be a co-threat, but white also has 1 more. So here, Cho U resigns, and we have crowned.
Yeah, there's a few steps later on, but it's not really.
No, I think this is it.
No, that's not.
Oh, there are. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so there are a few more moves later, but it's
not relevant.
Futile. It doesn't really help in the end. So there we have it. We have the youngest Meijin ever. And I've actually played a few games against Shibano before, and I see him as a very strong reader, and I can definitely see how that's a very big advantage.
I've also played him online on Fox Switch, and I thought he was too strong as an opponent.
So yeah, he's been doing quite well also internationally, right? Not just in Japan. I think
he was also very hardworking. I've seen him playing a lot.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see, if he can rise up to the world and not just Japan. Yeah. And now that he has the title, he's got to claim the responsibilities, right?
I think this might be a new start for him.
Yeah. So there's one thing that we wanted to talk about, right? It was the why.
We know that white wins by 1 co-threat.
There's 1 co-threat ahead.
But remember, black played this Atari first.
Yeah, it was actually a question that I was wondering about. That took us a while to figure out. So since black Atari'd this move first, when white connected, and then black started the ko. But without this exchange, that would actually save a co-threat.
Yeah. So in order to punish black for playing here, white has to do something here. Otherwise, white will be short.
White would be short 1 co-threat.
So first, white might think something like this. But unfortunately, this is not enough for white.
Because after this, black is all alive, and black can capture this side here.
So white needs something more, so white
can actually Atari, and this is a very powerful move. If black extends, white can Atari again. And this actually really makes a huge difference, whoever gets this one.
And the most crucial part is the next move.
The Hanade here.
Yeah.
Since black can't cut, this is 1 Atari, and it's done. Black has to come back. And after this, white can connect in Sente. And then connect here.
I think Atari first and connect.
I think you want to connect that, right?
Oh yeah.
So you want to connect that first. Force Black to play
Oh,
here.
Connect first, Atari.
And then Atari, Black captures and then connect back.
Yeah.
Because this forces Black to come back here. And then White can actually play the first move on this side and get this. So this actually, whoever got this would win. And that was a big difference because, as we can see, if Black got this exchange, then Black would be a bend 4. So Black can actually take Sente and take this. So that was a huge difference. And that's why, in the end, Black was short by 1 code thread.
Yeah.
It's a very exciting way to win.
Very close ending game.
So after this game, Shibano won 4-1 against Cho U, and he's our newest Meijin. So don't go away. We have a very interesting post-credit scene. Welcome back to our post-scenes credits. So now it's time for all the casual stuff. You know, I can grill Filippo with all the intimate questions, right? So actually, what I thought I would do is, since Filippo's kind of new in the Go scene, and I think he'll be around for quite a few new videos. I think
I've actually appeared in the casual review for several occasions.
Yes.
I mean, even though I was not there, you see one of the audience account is me.
Yes. So yeah, Filippo's going to be around for a while. So I think it'd be nice for us to get to know him a little bit better, right? So yeah, I'm going to ask you some questions. So when did you learn to play Go?
Where? When?
When
I was 6.5.
6.5.
I will not tell you which year.
Who's your teacher?
I have several teachers. So the first one was a local teacher. It's similar to nowadays that we go to the primary school and we do some basic stuff, teach some basic stuff. And my teacher was at that time the primary school teacher, Go teacher. So he went there and there was an after-school class, and then he was my first teacher. I don't even know who he is because he only teaches us several lessons, and that's it.
I see. So when did you become more serious about Go?
It was half a year after I attended the after-school Go lesson, because there was another local Go teacher who really is professional about teaching Go. So he thought I was talented. So he invited me to learn Go in his house. Okay. So that's when I started officially learning Go.
I see. Do your parents play Go?
Both of them actually plays, but as soon as I can play some Go, I can give my mother 25 stones at class.
Okay, so it was like a family thing. Because a lot of pros actually started because their dad or one of their parent actually really likes Go.
Yeah, my father was about at the level of 5Q or something like that.
Okay. What's your best performance in a tournament?
Officially, my best performance was winning either the state champion of Sichuan or
pretty good.
The 15th place of National Open Tournament.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in China, the amateur ranks are actually very competitive. A lot of their amateur players actually win against the pretty much an average pro they can probably win against. So the top amateur level is extremely high in China. And being able to compete at that level is really difficult.
Yeah. But interestingly, it's like I played more aggressively and competitively in a team game rather than individual games. I played best when I was in a team game representing my city, and I won 3-6 then, including 2 of them became professional recently.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So it's like when I play in the team game, there is no much to think about being the winner, but there is enough responsibility for me to play good.
Okay. So you need to be more motivated.
Yeah, I need to be motivated, but I'm not very good at being pressurized.
Okay. But you have pretty good tournament results, I think. It's not definitely not an easy achievement to be like a state champion, because those tournaments everyone goes and they're really, really strong players that are all pro level, but they don't become pro.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite competitive there, and I definitely can see that. Yeah. What's your favorite opening?
I used to change a lot. So I was learning, my last teacher, who was very famous professional then, taught me a very classic opening of this. It was already gone in the AI.
Yeah, so this actually...
And later on, I developed Moyo down there, and then I can protect in one stone somewhere here.
Oh, so you like the Kobayashi opening?
Yeah, but later on, some other professional players told me that if you play like this, I mean, you have only one territory, and it's very easy for you to lose.
Yeah, so actually the Kobayashi opening is actually quite popular because you can... A lot of players see like one big moyo, right, and one big territory.
It's very interesting because when I was learning, I was kind of territorial, that kind of style. So I don't like fight. So this kind of style makes me not to go into the fight in the early game, which becomes very easy.
Yeah, so white approaches, then you'll develop something.
I can jump here.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Have you played a draw before?
Not in a significant match.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't have a chance of that.
Okay, I never had that either.
I think if I get to play the 3 codes in a game, it's very hard for me to read that out. I'll probably just miss that.
Yeah, I think not a lot of players actually had that experience before. Yeah. What was your most memorable game? Is there like a game that really you remember? That one of them?
I could name a few, but I would say one of the most memorable one is when I was, let's say, at the age of 13 or 14, I was playing against Yan Huan, who was quite strong professional then already. I was then a not very strong amateur 5-dan, and we was in a team competition representing our city.
So Yang Wan is a professional 6-dan now.
Yeah,
and he still competes.
He was then just became a professional, but already in the national youth team, I think. At the end game, I was ahead. I was black and ahead a few points, and then I made a mistake and I lost. It became a very typical kind of how to say, the way of ending game.
Very typical.
You know, because you see it a lot.
Yeah, it's one of those times. Yeah, if you're ahead,
I still remember the shape.
Show us. I was gonna say, when you make a mistake in the end game, especially when against someone stronger,
there was a disconnection.
Oh,
I played this one.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I was forced to connect, and then the 4 stones I got.
Oh, did you play it to the end? How much did you lose?
Yeah, I lost. I mean, I was still ahead. I mean, 1 or 2 points on
the board. Yeah. This is like 10 points.
Yeah, the lead was 2 or 3 points on the board at that time.
Wow. Interesting. So one of your most memorable games was the one that you lost.
Yeah.
I figured that usually people remember games that they win. You know, that's what they remember. Yeah. So I guess that really changed your kind of go mentality, your go style.
Not really, but it was the closest game of winning a professional player when I was learning Go at that time, because I was not that strong.
I see.
And then it was very pitiful.
Yeah, it would have been really. It would have been an upset if you won, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about turning pro?
I've thought about it, but I stopped learning Go when I was in grade 8. So at that time, because in Sichuan the competition of education is very hard, you need either choose to play Go or you choose to learn.
Yeah, a lot of professional Go players, they actually don't go to school. So all they do is study Go, and then they try to turn pro before they are probably 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Probably before 13 is like the kind of the world champion cutoff, they say.
Yeah.
If you can turn pro before that, then a lot of them become actually world champions. So it's actually quite a different environment, and when you choose to go to school, that's the route that most people will probably take. So it's a really big decision, I think, to make when you're that young.
And at that time, I was not that hardworking in terms of doing Go problems. I always like playing Go, but it's like in terms of doing problems. At that time, my teacher gave me a mission about, finishing a Go book of 900 questions in a year, but it spent me 3 years completing 1/3 of it.
They're probably really hard problems, right?
Yeah, the Korean dojo one.
Oh yeah, those are really hard. Yeah, cool. Thank you for joining us today for the pro commentary, and thank you for giving in to the pressure, since I pressured you to do an interview with me for quite a while now. And I hope you guys can enjoy the video, and now you guys know Filippo.
In return, I'll pray you to play Go with me.
Sorry?
I'll pray you to play Go with me.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so if you like the video, smash that like and follow us on our socials. I'm Ryan with Filippo, and I will see you next time.
We'll see you next time.